Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a kind and beautiful young woman named Cinderella. She lived with her wicked stepmother and two spoiled stepsisters who treated her like a servant. Poor Cinderella had to cook, clean, and do all the chores while her stepsisters lounged around all day. Despite their cruelty, Cinderella remained gentle and kind-hearted. One day, a royal proclamation was announced throughout the kingdom. All young ladies were invited to a grand ball at the palace, where the prince would choose his bride. Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters were thrilled and immediately began preparing their fanciest gowns and jewelry. Cinderella, too, dreamed of going to the ball and wearing a beautiful dress, but her stepmother laughed at the idea. "You? Go to the ball," she sneered. "You have nothing to wear, and besides, who's going to do all the housework? You stay here and clean the house." On the night of the royal ball, Cinderella was left alone with a heavy heart, watching her stepmother and stepsisters leave in their splendid attire. She tried to hold back her tears, but her sadness overwhelmed her. Just as she thought all hope was lost, a soft, shimmering light filled the room. To her astonishment, a kind and magical fairy godmother appeared before her. "Don't cry, dear Cinderella," the fairy godmother said. "You shall go to the ball." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed a pumpkin into a magnificent coach, mice into elegant horses, and a rat into a smart coachman. She then turned to Cinderella and with another wave of her wand, her tattered clothes were magically transformed into a breathtakingly beautiful gown, complete with delicate glass slippers. Cinderella's heart soared with joy. "But remember, my dear," the fairy godmother warned, "the magic will only last until midnight. At the stroke of 12, everything will return to its original form." Cinderella nodded gratefully, climbed into the coach, and was whisked away to the palace. At the ball, the guests were dazzled by the arrival of the mysterious and beautiful Cinderella. The prince was instantly captivated by her grace and charm. He asked her to dance, and they twirled around the grand ballroom, lost in each other's eyes. They talked and laughed, and Cinderella felt like she was in a dream. All the while, her stepmother and stepsisters were unable to recognize her in her radiant appearance. As the night wore on, Cinderella and the prince strolled through the palace gardens, enchanted by each other's company. However, as the clock neared midnight, Cinderella remembered the fairy godmother's warning. "I must go," she said hurriedly, pulling away from the prince. "But why?" he asked, bewildered. "Wait. I don't even know your name." Cinderella ran as fast as she could, her glass slippers clicking against the marble floors. Just as she reached the grand staircase, the clock began to chime midnight. She fled down the steps, one of her glass slippers slipping off in her haste. She didn't stop to retrieve it and vanished into the night just as the final stroke of 12 echoed through the palace. The prince was left holding the delicate slipper, determined to find the mysterious girl who had stolen his heart.